Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 7th, 2013 meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council, and welcome to a very special meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. Tonight we are going to do something we only do every 2 years, and that is we are going to witness the change of the guard here with respect to the Village Council. Tonight, as you will hear soon, we will be bidding farewell, at least from this dais, to two of our treasured colleagues who, between them, have served in office more than 30 years. Quite an accomplishment. We will also be welcoming to this dais our two new members who will be joining us for the first time tonight, and we'll be welcoming them to their service here in this community. So with that, one thing I want to mention up front is there will be an opportunity on our agenda specifically for comments from the public to express their support and appreciation to our two outgoing members, Commissioner Bill Waldeck and Commissioner Marilyn Schnell. So when we have our portion of the meeting tonight for public comments of a general nature, if you are here to thank or celebrate, or both, either Commissioner Waldeck or Commissioner Schnell, we would ask that maybe you wait until that point in time, because I do understand from having been in the audience earlier this evening, there are some folks that are here with comments on things that Bill and Marilyn will no longer have to deal with as extensively as the rest of us going forward, but of which are the utmost importance to all of our community. In fact, these are items that Bill and Marilyn will now be calling us about, and we will be listening to their input on these matters. So they are both being promoted tonight, as a matter of speaking. It is our custom to begin our meetings by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this point in time, I would ask that everyone please rise and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask our fine village clerk, April Holden, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Rankin?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Here.
Commissioner Durkin?
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner Schnell?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Here. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 3 on our agenda, in which we adopt minutes from prior council meetings. We have one set of minutes tonight to review and adopt, and those are our minutes from our regular council meeting of April 16th, 2013. Do any members of the council have any changes, corrections, or questions with respect to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Those minutes are adopted. And now, before we go to item 4, which is for public comment of items of a general nature, I do have a proclamation that I would like to read and present tonight. And we have some folks here from the Good Samaritan Wellness Center to receive the proclamation that I'll call up in a moment. Whereas May 2013 is Exercise is Medicine Month, and whereas all citizens are encouraged to speak with their physicians about how physical activity and exercise may help treat or prevent numerous chronic conditions, and whereas regular, moderate intensity exercise has curative and protective health benefits, and whereas the health benefits of physical activity and exercise can do much to improve the quality of life for everyone, and whereas regular physical activity and exercise is indeed a powerful prescription with great potential to improve the health of all Americans, now therefore I, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim May 2013 as Exercise is Medicine Month in the Village of Downers Grove, and encourage all citizens to participate in activities in the interests of better health and quality of life for all. And so, Laura and Lauren, if you'd like to please come up, I can present this to you now. I'm going to be doing a lot of going up and down from this dais tonight.
It's good exercise.
It's good exercise. Commissioner Schnell, wise to the very end. Why don't you just come up over here? I'll sort of get by this microphone here.
These are some of our interns.
I can hand it to you. How do you do? Nice to meet you. How are you? Pleasure. Thank you for being here. I'll let you have that. Thank you very much. That's yours. And I understand you might want to say a few words to the podium. Please be our guest.
I understand you have a packed agenda, so I will try not to be too long. Good evening. My name is Laura Taylor, and I'm the Director of Community Health for Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital. And I have with me here Laura Terry, one of our very committed fitness specialists from the Good Samaritan Health and Wellness Center. And she drove all the way up from Indiana on her day off to be here tonight to receive this proclamation. Thank you, Mayor Tully and Council, for supporting the Exercises Medicine Initiative. Throughout May, the Health and Wellness Center will host special activities, and we encourage all of you to join in and increase your own physical activity in whatever form that takes, like taking a walk on this beautiful evening. Everyone here is invited to visit the Health and Wellness Center for a free workout and a tour of the facility. You need to know that physical inactivity is a fast-growing public health problem and contributes to a variety of chronic disease and health complications, including obesity, diabetes, and cancer. Many see the Exercises Medicine Initiative as a part of the solution. Mayor Tully proclaimed Exercises Medicine Month for Downers Grove. Thank you, Mayor. The proclamation encourages all citizens to participate in activities and observances related to exercise in the interests of better health and quality of life for all. So keep moving and stay active. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. And that brings us to item 4 on our agenda, public comments. These are comments of a general matter with respect to items not appearing on tonight's agenda. Just because we have such a wonderfully robust crowd here tonight, can I just get an idea by show of hands of how many folks would like to comment during this public comment section? Okay, perfect. I'm sure we can accommodate all of you. Our protocol is please come down to the podium, give us your name and your address, and we would welcome hearing from you. So this is the portion of the meeting for comments of a general nature with respect to items not appearing on our agenda. And again, there will be separate opportunities to speak in support and in celebration of our retiring commissioners very shortly. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jim Smalling. I'm at 246 56th Street in Downers Grove in the Deer Creek subdivision. Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Mayor and Council. As a resident of Deer Creek subdivision, April 18th was the latest in a long line of severe or very significant flooding events in the area. As was pointed out by the map provided by the village, all of the roads in and around Deer Creek were flooded. While there was a good amount of rainfall, there was also significant warning that this was coming to the area. The main issue is the excessive amount of water that flowed into the subdivision from the retention area south of White Fawn. This quickly raised the water levels in the subdivision, causing large amounts of damage. We are aware and have been told previously that this area is within the Westmont boundaries, and therefore we are looking for your help and support in helping in this matter. This has not been the first time for an event of this magnitude to impact the homes in Deer Creek, and it will not be the last unless steps are taken to prevent this from happening again. We as a group have a list of questions and concerns that we would like the village to address so that we can then take the appropriate actions with the village to make the corrections necessary. This is not a question of if we will experience flooding or a severe event similar to this again. It's just a matter of when, and that thought is in the minds of the 150 homeowners in the subdivision. This is an urgency to address, as with each rain, flooding is a risk. We, the residents of Deer Creek, are willing to work with the village on all these concerns. We, the residents of Deer Creek, are also at a point where we will not accept another flooding event, especially when we believe it could have been prevented. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. And obviously, the heavy rains and flooding of April 17th and 18th affected the entire village and beyond. And we are receiving information from many people within the community. I believe we've received over 1,200 responses to the village's flood damage assessment survey. And I want to thank you and your neighbors for coming here tonight, as well as everyone else that has provided information and will yet provide information to the village, because all the photos and the emails and the descriptions of everything that happened, we're going to be taking that in and using it in future meetings to look at the watershed improvement plan that the village has, the capital projects that we have underway and already planned, and use all this information to help tweak what it is that gets done going forward for the greatest public benefit. And our plan is to do that in advance of when we start our budget meetings, because it's great to have a plan to do things, but then we actually have to pay for it too. It's part of the reason why we've developed a sustainable way to pay for stormwater projects in Downers Grove. And all of this information is greatly appreciated, so we thank you for coming here tonight, and we look forward to working with you and everyone else who was affected. And there's quite a few. I think everyone either was affected or knows someone very close to them that was affected, and it was a big impact. So thank you for being here, for sharing that. We look forward to working with you and the rest of the residents of your area. Other questions or comments of a general nature? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Laurel Bowen. I live at 829 Clyde Drive. 2013 has seen the village impose a tax in the form of a stormwater fee on every resident in the village, and I'd like to know what the village is going to spend that stormwater fee money on. On April 18th, I woke up. Our street was flooded at 5 a.m. I had 3 inches of water in my basement, and on my way out of town at 5 a.m., I almost had my car floating on 59th Street and Jefferson Street. There were no barriers up until I got to unincorporated Maple Street. In Downers Grove, there was a sheriff. That's township, not village. I got to Lyle midway before 53, and there was a fire truck in the street. Where were the Downers Grove emergency first responders in the flooding of our infrastructure? More than 14 years ago, this village approved a development on Brookbank that did not pass muster with our DuPage County stormwater. They put us on probation for a year, and finally the village has stopped construction at Brookbank. The dry retention pond that the development was supposed to contain has never been dry since it was constructed. Where is the stormwater fee money going? The developer there is now filing suit against the village and the village manager. Is this money going to go towards lawsuits against the taxpayers using our taxpayer funds? This development is along St. Joe's watershed and also contiguous to Park District property. And the area on Webster at St. Joe's Creek, which was the scene of a flood back in 1989 that caused a great amount of damage to homeowners and caused us to expend monies to those homeowners for their flooding, still has not been corrected. And I go by there every day, and it's still not corrected, and it floods every time it rains. It doesn't have to be a 7-inch-a-day rainfall for that area to flood. I have called attention to that area numerous times, and the village has done nothing. What are we doing with the stormwater fees? Now, our mayor sits on the DuPage County Stormwater Committee, and they have supported a House bill that has passed the House called House Bill 1522. And for those residents who are not aware of this House bill, which is in line to be passed by the Senate, or we expect it to be passed by the Senate, we hope it is not, and I'm encouraging residents to call senators all over the state because the entire state Senate will be voting on this House bill. It applies only to Peoria County and DuPage County, and it will impose a tax on our property tax depending upon the size of your home, and it will apply to churches, nonprofits, businesses, and homeowners. Another revenue source, a revenue stream. Meanwhile, we're having streams flooding our properties and our streets, and I'd like to know what the village is doing with our stormwater fees.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Bowen, and obviously the rain event that took place in April was an exceptional one. I remember reading reports about how the deep tunnel in Chicago was filled to capacity very early on, and I believe that holds something like 2 billion gallons of water. The whole area was affected tremendously. To borrow something from Commissioner Durkin, one of the things that we've been doing over the years is taking, if you look at our stormwater projects as a bucket, we have a 1-gallon bucket, and we've now improved it to a 3-gallon bucket. Credit where credit is due.
It was a 5-gallon.
But what we had is a 5-gallon rain.
No, 1 gallon to a 5-gallon to a 10-gallon rain.
No, that's a better order of magnitude. So you tell me better, Commissioner. But the answer to the question is, a number of years ago, we did an extensive study of the village and came up with a watershed improvement plan, which is a list of capital projects that are designed to help with flood mitigation and stormwater improvement. And there are other aspects of stormwater other than just flood mitigation. There's also Clean Water Act requirements that we are obligated by federal law to comply with, and yet conveniently are not provided funds with which to do so. But the study was done, a lot of information was taken from past flood events, hydrological information, GIS information, and watershed improvement plan was developed And funds have been used over time to work through the projects on that list. Obviously, there are a lot of projects, and certainly more projects can be done in any one year, though we have to prioritize them. And we always want to do the projects to do the most public benefit first, and then go to the next one. It's a long list. We are working through it. We have been going through it. As Commissioner Durkin's example indicates, there are situations where the village did take a situation that was a 1-gallon bucket, go to a 5-gallon bucket, but we had a 10-gallon rain. What was the problem? So the answer to your question is the new stormwater utility fee is now dedicated solely to funding those types of projects, basically the maintenance of our stormwater infrastructure, capital improvements, and also compliance with the Clean Water Act, particularly Phase 2 of the Clean Water Act. It's an enterprise fund, which means the dollars that come in from the utility are only spent on stormwater-related matters. So it's actually more accountable than what we were doing previously. Obviously, that just started, but those dollars are replacing other dollars, such as property taxes, that have previously been used to pay for a lot of these stormwater projects that are listed on the Watershed Improvement Plan. As mentioned earlier, after the other gentleman spoke, certainly in response to the information that we have gathered, are gathering, and will continue to gather with respect to this most recent extraordinary rain and flood event, we will use that to guide ourselves in terms of what projects receive what prioritization and what funding gets done when we get into our budget cycle. So that's sort of the short answer to the question. But thank you for asking it. Yes, sir. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Bob Mueller. I actually live in Westmont, 44 West 59th Street.
Well, welcome anyhow.
I used to live here. You've got an email for the board from of my concerns, but here's the general comments. Last Saturday, there was an equal marriage rally at Representative Sandak's office. One of the few disturbing things at the rally was that the Downers Grove Police Department brought out cameras and taped the crowd. There is no history that these rallies turn violent, but that is the excuse the police department is offering. As one who has seen this tactic used from the 60s on, this was an attempt to intimidate attendees and potential attendees. When the police bring out cameras, they might just as well bring out their guns. Cameras stifle free speech and freedom of assembly when used by authority figures. There were several people who were attending their first rally. Some have not even come out to their parents yet. They are in the process of seeking guidance and support. They do not deserve to be on a police video. This is the type of intimidation that must end. There are several questions the council needs to ask. Why were cameras used? In what other situations have cameras been used recently? Were both sides photographed equally? Where is the tape now? Did anyone think about the people who are just coming out? The tape is now subject to FOIA if it hasn't been destroyed yet. What would the village response be? I've debated FOIAing the tape, but that's not the right approach. The tape should be destroyed, and the board should review or create standards about the use of police cameras. And it would be appreciated if other village managers and police chiefs in the area be made aware of these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you for expressing your views, Mr. Mueller. Thank you for being here. Other questions or comments from members of the audience? Comments on matters of a general nature with respect to items not appearing on tonight's agenda? Yes, sir, please. No worries, take your time.
Sorry, we've been ready. I thought there were more ahead of us.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jim Elgis. I live at 5333 Grant Avenue. First of all, I want to thank the village for listening to the residents' concerns. I want to take a few minutes just to talk about one very specific concern which I raised in a recent email to some of you. This is the question of permits for repair work that residents are going to be required to do as a result of the flood damage. While I understand, at least the initial view seems to be that apparently under the code, I don't know if it's the electrical code, the building code, or what, that if at least 12 inches of water came into the residence, there's a requirement to go through the permitting process for any repair work that's done. While I appreciate that may be the correct technical reading of the codes, whatever their applicable codes, I do think under these circumstances the There's many people who are not insured for their flood damage. Even people who are insured, it's a significant additional expense. And while I understand the village certainly wants to have projects done properly from a health and safety standpoint, I think, first of all, the imposition of significant additional fees on residents to do this kind of work is, if anything, going to incent people not to seek permits. You've got people with a lot of damage already. Another $400 or $500 on top of that is not going to encourage people to come forward. Those that do, frankly, I'm not sure the village time and effort is well spent on that. But if that's the way the village wants to do it, I would encourage the village to consider whether or not that in this extraordinary circumstances you either waive the fees or provide some type of meaningful reduction of those fees. Because when you're looking at that tens of thousands of dollars of damage, as most of the residents are, another $500 if it's insured, great. But even if it's not insured, it's a lot of money. And also, I'm not sure that that's a particularly great use of public resources in these circumstances. When in fact, all we're doing is repairing. We're not remodeling. There's additional added complication of whenever those documents are filed, they typically go over to the township and other tax authorities. I don't think there's a good system for differentiating out what's a remodel, an improvement versus a repair. And so the last thing I want to do is have to deal with the township or the county on the fact that I didn't add value to my residents. Again, it's probably a small point, but it is a bit of salt in the wounds when you're already looking at, in our case, probably $50,000 worth of damage. And I don't think a lot of people are even aware that they're going to have to get a permit. And once they do, it's additional time, money, and expense, and a hassle factor. And I understand the village has a policy on fee waivers that is something that needs to be dealt with. But I'd encourage you to take a more holistic view of this in the grand scheme of things and figure out if there's something we can do on that particular small point. Because I realize that some of these stormwater improvements are not something we can easily deal with. They're going to take months to review and significant expense. This seems like something that is frankly within your disposal to deal with relatively quickly. So I'd encourage you to think about it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for asking the question. We did receive your email on that point, and we'll take it under advisement. Not in a position to answer your question right now, but we'll take a look at it. Thank you for sharing it. Oh, just real quickly, one thing I did want to point out, speaking of financial resources, as folks have probably heard, FEMA representatives were here recently, as they were in many neighboring communities, regarding the availability of disaster relief funds, both for individuals and municipalities. And I'm now going to share more than what I really should be, because a little knowledge can be dangerous. There's two different types of relief available from FEMA. There's public assistance, and then there's individual assistance. And it's the individual assistance that I think folks in this room are probably more interested in. FEMA has been out, they've collected their information, and the public assistance is probably easier to satisfy given what we experienced here in Downers Grove and the surrounding areas. Public assistance is still an open question. My understanding is that FEMA is supposed to get back with an answer to the individual assistance, both actually, in about 5 weeks. I think it's about as fast as the speed of government works, but just to let everybody know that is still out there. The municipalities are working with the county and the state to try to get a favorable decision in that regard, but obviously that's ultimately up to the federal agency. So I just wanted to point that out since the last question had to do with funding for repair and whatnot. Well, thank you. Well, then if there's no further public comment, we will then move to item 5, which is public hearings. We have no public hearing tonight, but we'll move right to item 6, which is our consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience with respect to any of the items on the consent agenda? Any questions or comments from any members of the village council with respect to any items on the consent agenda? Hearing none. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The consent agenda passes unanimously. That brings us to item 7, our active agenda. We have no active agenda tonight. That brings us to the last item on the agenda for the first half of tonight's meeting, and that is a motion to adjourn sine die, or without date. Basically, the motion will be made. We are then going to have an opportunity for folks to speak in celebration of our departing colleagues, after which we will have a short break while we move the chairs around and prepare for the swearing in of the new council members and the seating of the 2013 to 2015 Village Council. So do I have such a motion?
So moved?
Second. Bill second that, I did.
We have a motion, we have a second. All right, in that case, I will now entertain comments with respect to the motion, and I would like to begin, and we'll have several things to say in this regard, but I just want to start with a comment that applies both to Marilyn Schnell and Bill Waldak. It is appropriate to celebrate public service and the thoughtful people who choose to serve. They symbolize what is good and decent about this historic citizen legislature, and we thank them. Those are words spoken by Robert Ehrlich, and I think they apply equally to both Bill and Marilyn. Tonight we thank them, and we're going to take a little bit of time out here tonight, and I hope all of you will join us in thanking both of them for their exceptional service. Bill Waldak. We're going to begin with Bill Waldak.
Oh, your parting speeches.
Parting speeches.
Okay.
The first item is, and I guess the question is, why don't we take you down?
Okay.
We have some things to present to you, and then we'll let you come back up and let you have the last word. Can we go straight down the stairs? You're good. Perfect. To the right. And if you'd be so kind, actually, Bill, you can stand right there. I have a proclamation that I would be honored to read in your honor. Acknowledgement of service. Whereas it is fitting and proper that we acknowledge the 8 years of professional service William Waldak has given to the Village of Downers Grove. And whereas on May 3rd, 2005, Bill was elected to the Village Council. And whereas Bill has a long and distinguished record of public service to the Village of Downers Grove. And whereas Bill's contributions include serving on the South DuPage Crop Walk Committee, the Subcommittee on Alternative Transportation, the Senior Sharing Home, and the DuPage Interagency Paratransit Coordinating Council. That was a mouthful. And whereas the Village Council and staff of the Village of Downers Grove wish to hereby acknowledge and appreciate the dedication, leadership, and commitment of Bill Waldak, and to extend all the best wishes to him, his wife Judy, and his entire family. Now therefore, I, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, on behalf of the Village Council and staff, do hereby honor Commissioner Bill Waldak and gratefully acknowledge his commitment and service to the Village of Downers Grove. You, sir, have made the village a better place. Thank you. Now, before you go back upstairs, as they say on the game shows, but wait, we have fabulous prizes. We have a few tokens of appreciation for your service. One, no one who's ever served in the village would have their home complete without a Downers Grove 175th anniversary banner. And I'm sure Judy already knows where she's going to hang it. Oh, yeah. So allow me to present that to you, Bill.
Thank you.
We also have, in recognition of the countless hours that you have spent in service to the village, and the countless hours that you have spent researching issues for the village. If internet research were costly, I think you may have bankrupt Google. But you were always very thorough and diligent in looking into issues that you were passionate about. And so we present you with this clock in recognition of your service to the village and the time that you spent with us and the time that your family allowed us to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
And last but not least, this is a gift, again, a small gift, from your colleagues on the Village Council. I can help you with that. We're loading you down. I'll carry this one. I'll carry this one.
Okay.
This is a token of our appreciation and friendship for serving with us on the council. It's been a privilege serving with you, Bill. I think you've had an impact on all of us. You've had an impact in the community, and you've had an impact in the future of this entire community. So we thank you very much, and you will notice that everything, I believe, is local, of course. And we want to thank Commissioner Neustadt for making this possible. So I will bring this up to you, and another round of applause for I'll follow you up, and the floor will be yours, as they say. I can write it off later. These are all props. We'll give you the real ones later.
A gavel, I love it. Always want a gavel. Thank you all. Thank you.
Well, now before you get to say anything, I think it would only be appropriate for your
There we
colleagues
go.
to have a few words of praise first. And then it would be appropriate for you, sir, to have the last word. Commissioner Neustadt.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Waldeck, it's a fun night tonight. We will definitely miss you and your service to Downers Grove, but I very much appreciate your service to the village of Downers Grove and your passion for your constituents and the residents of Downers Grove. We were all served well by you, and the time that you and I have shared on this council has given me many valuable experiences and lessons. One of them that I take to heart every day is to listen and hear what we all have to say, whether or not we agree on issues or not. You always have come prepared to the village council meetings, and you gave an extremely strong effort when dealing with your elected office. Your viewpoint on village issues often led to lively discussions and sometimes even props, which I don't see any tonight, but the night is not over, which made our meetings even more interesting. So good luck with all that lies ahead of you. Thank you for your service and your dedication to this community. Downers Grove is indeed a better place because of your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Neustadt.
Commissioner Rankin.
I also wanted to thank you for your service. One of the things that I think is admirable about you is that you're never afraid to speak your mind, and that type of candor really takes bravery. You often look at issues from a different point of view that's unique, and often that made us all look at things from a different viewpoint. So I appreciate your perspective, and I also mentioned your visual aids that will definitely be missed. It's a great way to define a point. And once again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett.
Bill, tonight's a special night for all of us and a celebration. And I think perhaps the most important thing I'd like to make sure that is said this evening is that there is nobody that cared more genuinely and more sincerely about their community that served up here, at least in the time that I've been here. There have been challenges of agreement and disagreement over the years, to be sure, but nobody demonstrated a more sincere, heartfelt, personal caring for their community than you did, and I thank you for that. Public service is a privilege for all of us, and I appreciate your service and thank you for that caring for your community.
Commissioner Durkin.
Bill, you will definitely be missed. I've enjoyed our time together. I've learned a lot, learned to look at things differently than I may have when I originally came up here. I know that there were a number of issues that we've disagreed upon, and I know probably going in the future we'll probably disagree on them then. But there's one thing I do know, and that is that we're able to put those differences aside and we're able to break bread, which you and I have had the opportunity to do many times. And don't think those lunch dates are over, because they'll probably continue probably at a greater scale now. But you know, you've always been passionate. You've always been there fighting for what you believed in, and it's that dedication that I will miss. Even though we didn't always understand where you were coming from with the props, but they always made it lightning, and I commend you for that, because you took a risk, and you try to use a basic presentation to really bring it to and I'll never forget the paper, nor will I ever forget the core, because as everybody knows, I'm a core guy, so every time I eat an apple or I feed my son an apple and I get the core, I'm always thinking about that because you brought it up. So I wish you luck. Enjoy your retirement. I know you probably won't be gone for long or inactive for a while, but you'll be back, and I wish you the very best and enjoy some time away. But I know you'll be back in full speed soon.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Schnell.
I think your legacy, Bill, is going to be the fact that you are a man of principle. You are a man who firmly believed in your what you perceived as your constituency, people who are seniors, people who are disabled, people who really needed a voice in our community to speak up for them. And you were always that voice. You never faulted from it. You were adamant about the fact that there were certain things that people that were less fortunate than others needed, and you were the person who spoke for them. And I think that will be your legacy during your term on council, and you never faulted from it. Your legacy will also be the apple core and the paper, but you know, and there were things that you brought that brought some levity to meetings that were at times tense, which is always good too, because it kind of breaks the tension. But as I said, I think you will always be remembered for your defense of the senior community, and I know you will do great things with senior home sharing, and that really is your passion, and I wish you well with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Waldeck. Bill. Three words that come to mind that I think describe you well are passionate, relentless, and fearless. You have always been passionate about public service and passionate about issues that needed a champion, and you were that champion. And whether or not others thought that they should or should be as champion, that wasn't the point. They needed a champion, they needed someone to bring everyone else's attention and analysis to a point, and you made sure that happened. And so the issues were discussed, they were evaluated, and regardless of what the outcome was, the right thing was done. Some of those issues included transportation services, obviously, of which you've always been very passionate. It's sort of what got you started in this whole journey that led you up here. Social services, the senior taxi cab coupon program, which I'm sure we're going to still hear from you about. And I think everyone should know, if you don't already, that Bill Waldeck has always been a very passionate volunteer outside of the service in the Village Council with a number of organizations, some of which were included in the proclamation. But Bill didn't just spend a lot of time up here on these issues, but then spent a lot of time in his community making it a better place. So you are an exceptional public servant, sir. I said you're relentless, and I mean that in the best possible way. I mean that by relentless, I mean you have always been persistent and diligent. Just because somebody voted no, or maybe 6 people voted no, that wasn't going to stop Bill Waldeck, because you are a passionate champion and you kept a focus on an issue even when it wasn't the majority view. And I think in a true democratic environment, that's extremely healthy. And so thank you for keeping us all healthy, as we all understand that exercise is medicine. That also works in politics. So there's a tie-in everywhere. Fearless. Others have already touched upon this. You have never been afraid to be a contrarian. Although sometimes, Bill, I think you relish in it. You've never been afraid to stand in a strong wind, and you've been very sturdy in doing so. And again, I think we in this community are all the better for it. I want to personally thank Judy and Bill's family for lending him to us for these last 8 years. We now reluctantly give him back to you. So thank you for your contributions to Bill's service to this community and beyond. It's greatly appreciated, because we all know, all of us up here know, that without our families and our spouses and our children, we couldn't do anything of what we do up here. And of course, Bill is not leaving this village or this council so much as moving on to advocate for things that he holds a passion for on a broader stage. So Near I say, we have not heard or seen the last of Bill Waldeck, and I just want to personally thank you, Bill. It's been a privilege and a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I would now like to invite any members of the audience who would like to speak to, about, for Bill Waldeck. This would be the time we would welcome you to the podium. Protocol dictates that we ask for your name and address.
Good evening, everybody. Linda
Good evening.
Quincy, Executive Director of Downers Grove Downtown Management, and here to wish Mr. Waldeck the best. On behalf of our organization, we sincerely thank you for your time and your dedication and your devotion to this community, and we wish you the best as you move on to make Downers Grove an even better place to live. And to add to your collection, I'm giving you Pierce Downer to always look over you and keep you busy and involved in our town. So we sincerely thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Laura Crawford. I am the president and CEO of course, the best chamber in the state of Illinois. We reside at 2001 Butterfield Road, Suite 105, in the wonderful village of Downers Grove. And it is truly with heartfelt gratitude that I'm here before you to recognize the commitment of Commissioner William Waldeck to the village of Downers Grove. On behalf of the Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry and all of its business members and board of directors, thank you very, very much for your hard work. You have greatly contributed to making this village a greater place in which to live, and most importantly, to the chamber to work. Thank you for your commitment and dedication. And we are a business organization, so we give plaques. And we do hope that you'll accept this plaque in recognition of your tremendous, tremendous work.
Most certainly.
Especially if I can get it off this table. It's stuck on here. It's the electricity. You create electricity. Seriously, I can't get it off.
Well, we found a home for it.
Thank you, Laura. Please, anyone else who would like to speak with respect to Bill Waldeck? Good evening, ma'am.
I'm sure.
Hi.
Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Violet Rodwell. I've been going to Springfield. So when I came back home, of course, with the flood and things like that. And then I saw the newspaper, front page of the Downers Grove, Mr. William Waldeck. And I said to myself, he's such a very good man. I've got to attend no matter what. So I am here to give my heartfelt thank you, sir. I'm one of those people in this town who have been blessed by his advice, help, because when I was in the process of forming a not-for-profit, he emailed me instruction. When I had some questions about what to do, what I've been doing in Springfield, he was very unselfish. He gave me advice. A very good person, a very good public official. That's why I am here for that number one reason, to give my thank you and my full respect to you, sir. I thank you very much. God bless you, sir. May you live long to be 120 years old.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I have to come to the podium for a few minutes to give homage to a person who I met through political activity before he chose to run for office. And if anything, he sort of taught me a lot of things about how government works and got me active in community affairs and so forth, which I'm very appreciative for, because we all need some kind of role model, an outline to follow. But more so, during the course of this education, you became a friend. And perhaps that's the greatest gift that anyone can give when you work shoulder to shoulder and you take issues and go together. You become friends, and there's a certain kind of a bond. We don't always agree. We've disagreed a lot, William. You have your opinions, and I have my opinions, and we have allegiances to different causes. But out of that is always respect, and I respect you very much, and I wish you the very, very best for what you're doing now and what you continue to do. I know you'll be a definite benefit to Downers Grove. Thank you. Thank you, William.
Others who wish to share comments publicly with Bill, and let me mention, because I neglected to do so before, after tonight's two meetings, there will be a modest reception next door with some cake and whatnot. So those of you who wish to hang around and wish either Bill or Marilyn or Greg or David warm wishes, there will be an opportunity to do so. So don't feel that if you don't step up to the microphone, you're somehow not extending warm congratulations and appreciation. And I talked just long enough to allow Dr. Goodman to come to the podium.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Tully and Commissioners. Commissioner Waldeck, I'm particularly glad to be here on the occasion to say some nice things about you. We've worked well in the past and had good agreement on many policy issues. I wish we could have been more effective, but it's hard when you have a group of 7 to reach consensus and move forward with things that we deeply believe in. And I think you helped a great deal to try to move those things forward. I hope we will keep active, as I have been in the community without portfolio, but I'm very glad to have been able to work with you during these years. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Any others brave enough to approach the podium? All right, terrific. Well, again, there will be opportunities to speak to Bill before the night is over. I want to thank everyone for their warm comments to and about Bill. And now it's my pleasure to move to the next item that we want to discuss, and that is a very important one, and that is recognition of the end of an era. You want to say something?
Yeah. Is it now?
I was waiting for you to stop me. Just a test.
I was going to head out for a cigarette break.
Well, actually, that would be something unique. But of course,
That's something we used to have around.
And now
it's we don't anymore.
Commissioner Waldeck, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, fellow commissioners. Thank everyone for coming out tonight to say farewell to Marilyn and myself, and to welcome Greg and David take over the seats here. I appreciate the heartfelt words, the gifts. The words are very important to me. The last 8 years, actually more like 15, has been very active and fulfilling in my life. I told some students at St. Joe's one time that while I would prefer having my my complete eyesight, my blindness really allowed me to start a life that is much more fulfilling and meaningful than I could have imagined. I would like to start with a list of my accomplishments.
I had to come up with a prop just to, and I didn't know everybody was interested. I thought it was just going to be for Commissioner Schnell and Commissioner Durkin, but evidently it hadn't been picked on everyone. So, but really, I'm really was never really about accomplishments. I always thought accomplishments were for resumes, obituaries, and lists for campaign literature for incumbents. For re-election. And if anyone is really interested in any of my accomplishments, just look at incumbent campaign literature for the last 6 years, and you'll find it there. And I know both of my critics, and you two know who you are, would say, Waldeck, you voted against those. Well, let's face it, voting against something doesn't necessarily mean you can't use it on your campaign literature. And actually, many of those accomplishments are really the work of our village manager and our staff. So it's really a testament to their work and their accomplishments. You know, actually, if this was anything, it'd be my to-do list. You know, if you have a leaky faucet, yeah, well, you know, some of my council members might say, but Bill, you know, rather than looking at the future, you keep bringing up the past, and not in the case of a to-do list. You know, if you have a leaky faucet and you fix it one week and it leaks a week later, it's still on the to-do list. Commissioner Rankin would probably agree with me that if you have a short in a wall and you put a hole in the wall and you fix the short, the hole in the wall is part of the to-do list. And so what I've been trying to do, if I bring up things that seem to be in the past, they're on my to-do list. And so it's just the idea that somebody's accomplishments are somebody else's to-do list. And that was the attitude I had. As a kid, I used to watch news with my dad, and there was Mayor Richard J. Daley, a guy who really had a machine going, and he would talk, and all the aldermen would heap praise upon him, and then one guy would stand up, and he would start speaking, and the mayor would start banging the gavel, and all the aldermen, a lot more aldermen, would start shouting the man down. The guy's name was Alderman Leon Dupre, and when I think back to those days, my 6-1, 5-2 votes were nothing compared to the amassing of his 49-1 votes. So some years ago they did a story on Leon Dupre. Turns out about 90% of the issues, the big issues that he fought for, actually were passed. And so it's not about the accomplishments in office. It's doing the right thing, and I think I always tried to do the right thing. I go for little victories, the support of many of the people in public, in the stores and parks and wherever you run into them. That's what really kept me going. Whether it was getting a 6-1 vote or on a free speech correction, or the time I was criticized for suggesting we do something about cell phones and texting while driving, well, that's become a state law now. Village manager problems, pointing out inconsistencies in land use or subsidies, and those things were subsequently brought up by others in support of their arguments. These are just little things. It's not necessary that the votes within these walls on Tuesday night. It's the more important thing is about what happens outside these walls the rest of the week. I definitely need to thank some people specifically. I believe all elected officials in our village, past and present, who serve the public deserve our thanks. I thank Commissioner Schnell for her years of service. And as I said in November, I decided to get involved, and she suggested my nomination to transportation to Mayor Cheever. Thank you for allowing me to serve, and I hope there were no regrets.
No, there wasn't.
To all of our employees, I get emails and comments that make me angry, and those are the ones that feel that just because you work for a government entity, that you are somehow less, that you deserve the least, If a resident didn't get a raise or a benefit, well, our people shouldn't get anything. These people have families. They work as hard as anyone else, whether it's clerical, construction, engineering, analysis. Some risk their lives, work in brutal conditions. Some save lives. So we, as a council, and previous councils, have tried to be fair and comparable. So maybe you didn't get that raise, or you didn't get that benefit, but you know, there's a lot of other people out there who get raises and benefits, and they just don't go public with it. So, all of our workers deserve respect, fair wages, comparable benefits. Nobody should be considered less because they work for the government. Commissioner Barnett can tell you how hard it is to manufacture and sell one basic product. This village is a financial, engineering, construction, healthcare, safety, a lot of things I'd probably leave out, probably doing things I probably never knew you were doing, even as a commissioner. But a big thank you to all of our employees. Chief Porter, during my term here, you've done a terrific job in our police department. We have an excellent reputation. You have a reputation. Our department has a great reputation because of you and those that work under your command. Chief Jackson's doing a great job with our fire and EMS personnel. I've learned much about the complexities of firefighting, and it is. I'm so glad that we were able to not only to get you a ladder truck, but a place to park it. We not only have first responders, but we have fast responders, and I'd like to share one quick story. Shortly after knee surgery, when I was not too steady on my feet, and I still have the vision thing going, we were coming out of a meeting at Fire Station 2, and I lost my balance. It wasn't a trip on, so it was just a losing of the balance. And so I went down. Well, I was able to navigate to the most comfortable place where I could fall, which is the newly planted shrubs. And I don't know, instantly I had 4 fire department personnel around me with equipment. I mean, you talk fast. All I needed was a hand getting up. I mean, there was nothing more than that. My wife was in the car. She saw all this happening and how fast everything. She says, somebody must have put out a call. Commissioner down, commissioner down. Chief, I'd also like to thank Mrs. Jackson for sharing her cookie secret. So please pass that on to her. Nan, Public Works, involves a variety of different disciplines and complexity. Council has challenged you and the Public Works folks with doing more and more. And all your efforts are appreciated. I suspect many people would give you a larger to-do list than praise your many accomplishments. When first elected, our code enforcement and planning was a problem area. And public perception, and I'm saying perception, was not very good. Redevelopment created a lot of problems. Remember the tear down issues. Code enforcement was reputed sketchy. And as a candidate, I was told that variances are granted like indulgences in medieval times. Dave Reiner and his team have brought that professionalism to planning. Code enforcement is doing more with less. As I stated a few weeks ago, the new council should reassess core services and include community development. Just ask where the money's been spent, what generated income last year, and look at the headlines when considering a Walgreens or a senior facility. And I would like to point out a previous version of the council some years ago made a great decision. They ignored what is generally called as NIMBY arguments, and they proceeded with building or allowing the construction of Family Shelter Services facility, and none of those scary warnings that were presented ever took place. It was a success. Thanks to Doc Wu and staff for behind-the-scenes work for the village and also for the computer help. I dread that I will now have to go to the Geek Squad. I learned a new word for publicity. It's called Duggetize. Our cable folks are great. They're always here. They attend all of our meetings. Don and Michelle. Don is always an upbeat guy. He really knows his stuff. Always a pleasure to work with. I think our new council members during the elections got to meet Don and probably have the same opinion. I still believe, though, that people should attend meetings and just not watch it on cable because you miss the shenanigans, you miss the fans, you need the paper tossing and the eye rolling. So you need to come down here to see that personally. One thing for sure, I know there's one employee who's going to call me up after my term, and that's Doug. And he's going to call me during dinner. Judy Butney, with larger and more complex budgets, I still can't figure out how you can get the books smaller and smaller as transparency grows. Maybe my wife and I will be able to continue to meet you and your husband and Lou at the Taste of Downers Grove. I'm afraid to call attention to April and Linda. Our clerk's office does a great job and meets the test of our toughest critics. I'm afraid calling attention to the office might rock the boat, so thank you to the clerk's office. Thank you also to our legal department and Enza. Enza is a key member of our negotiations, of many of our successful negotiations. And a lot of what she does you can't see because most of that is interaction in executive session. But thank you so much for all you do. I also want to recognize Mike Baker, who also has seen a lot and survived the changes and the purges. He's a very smart guy with many talents, and Downers Grove is lucky to still have such talent. I'm going to trick him now. He is a sort of Ub Iwerks. That's UBIWERKS. Or, if you want another example, he's the Garfunkel to Simon. I have the experience of working with 4 village managers. I count Kurt Bresner because he was a village manager when I started in transportation. If Dave Fieldman was here when all that TIF stuff was beginning, I think we would have been in a much better shape than we are. Dave was rated very highly last time, matter of fact, all times, and very deservedly so. It's a tough job to handle the variety of functions and to do it with 7 bosses, and one of them was me. I thank our business community and their representatives, Linda Kunze, Michael Casa, Laura Crawford. I tried to be fair and balanced with the residents, with the businesses, and in some cases, business with business. Fairness and consistency, necessary for a good business climate. You and your staff have so many accomplishments, any politician would be proud to put it on their campaign literature. I want to thank some of the special residents who care about our village and who have been helpful, lending their experience input, even in an unofficial capacity. Dr. Goodman was here tonight, Mark Tolman, John Schofield, Frank Falish, George Swimmer, many of the present past members that Downers Grove watch, many more. And I know I missed some, I apologize, but I got plenty of time to thank all of you. Special friends, like Bill Roble, who spoke tonight, and Marjorie. We disagree on many matters, but it never interferes with our ability to discuss, debate, and socialize. Both continue to contribute to the village and are good friends. They often make sure I get a ride home after the meetings, and I haven't been thrown out yet. Friendships that are based on friendship and not politics. My wife of 39 years, Judy, that's 9.75 in Chanel terms. Council members always appreciate their spouses because of the added responsibilities and commitments. Judy's done all that and more, especially since I cannot drive. She's had to take me around even to events and situations where she may not have been personally comfortable. She's mostly apolitical and quiet, and she's supported me throughout. And darling, I love you. And thank you. Getting there. It sounds trite, but I truly mean that it's been an honor to be able to serve the residents of Downers Grove. I thank you for your public trust, and I tried to do my best. I tried to be fair, consistent, avoid expediency, which is what I think all people should want and expect from their leadership. I would hope that our new council members also have another quality, and I think is most important for any official to have, and that's empathy. It's not something learned, it's something either you have it or you don't. It's not sympathy, which recognizes a difference, but empathy. putting yourself in someone else's shoes. That's where you really understand the problems, and that's where you feel compelled to solve problems rather than just give a sympathetic listen. I'd like to leave you with a quote from a very smart man. We know he was a very smart man because he was able to speak fluent Greek. Aristotle wrote, "The city is a partnership for living well. The city comes into existence out of the bare necessities of life, but continues in existence for the sake of a good life." And I wish all present here watching and all the residents of Downers Grove a good life. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Commissioner. And now, yes, you do.
Yeah, I know you can do that. Watch
And
me.
now it's time to recognize one of our other outgoing colleagues, a person whose name is synonymous with public service and government in Downers Grove, and that's Marilyn Schnell. Woodrow Wilson said, he was a smart guy too, there is no higher religion than human service. To work for the common good is the greatest creed. Well, if religion and public service are equal in the eyes of Woodrow Wilson, then Marilyn Schnell is the Pope. Marilyn, please come down. I too, excuse me, have a proclamation that it's my privilege to read. And it truly is. And I feel as though I should take an inordinate amount of time to read it because it's just too darn hard to say goodbye. But I know you're not going anywhere. You'll be with us, and your legacy will be with us forever. When I came to this council as a young pup, I'm not that old. No, but I would say you were a mentor and someone to look up to and someone to guide what a public servant ought to be and should be. You taught me a great deal. I've learned a great deal from you, and thank you for everything you've given to this community. The proclamation. Whereas it is fitting and proper to be acknowledged 32 years of professional service Marilyn J. Schnell has given to the village of Downers Grove. And whereas Marilyn was appointed to the Plan Commission by Resolution 81-35 on May 26, 1981. Whereas Marilyn was appointed as the Plan Commission representative to the Zoning Commission by Resolution 83.3. That's also a local radio station. Resolution 83.3-3, sorry, on February 14, 1983. And whereas on April 4th, 1988, Marilyn was appointed to the Village Council by Resolution 88-19, where she served as a commissioner for 25 exceptional years. And whereas Marilyn has a long and distinguished record of public service to the Village of Downers Grove and its residents. And whereas Marilyn's during her tenure, she served on many committees and worked tirelessly on a variety of community issues, from redevelopment to traffic, to Total Community Development 2, Total Community Development 3, to helping girls navigate adolescence, to DuPage mayors and managers, the legislative committee of that organization. And whereas the Village Council and the staff of Downers Grove wish to acknowledge the dedication, leadership, and commitment without equal of Marilyn Schnell, and to extend all our best wishes to her. Now, therefore, I, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, on behalf of the Village Council and staff, and all the residents of our community, we hereby honor and thank Commissioner Marilyn J. Schnell, and you will always be Commissioner Marilyn J. Schnell. Gratefully acknowledge your commitment and years of service to the Village of Downers Grove. You have made this village a better place in more ways than you know how. Thank you. know we have fabulous prizes.
Do I get to choose?
Just for playing, you get this wonderful deluxe edition of the home game of the Village of Downers Grove. Of course, a banner celebrating 175th year, which you, along with many others, helped to plan. So it's very appropriate.
You got one of these. Oh, well, you only got one when you retired the first time.
We also have a very handsome flag. The inscription which reads, "In appreciation of your dedicated service to the Village of Downers Grove." And I don't mean any more age-related comments when I say this, but I somehow think a clock is not sufficient. It should really be a calendar. Because your service is without equal. And so I can either hold this for you or we'll put it on the table. I think I'll show you these last two. We vary with gifts. We also have, on behalf of small token of appreciation of all your colleagues, each and every one of us who truly had the privilege of serving with you and learning from your expertise. Of course, these are all local items from
And wrapped beautifully.
And wrapped beautifully. Again, thanks to Commissioner Newstaff for arranging this. So we'll put this here for you, and then, oh wait, there's more. My favorite is we also have a very rare, and here I am.
And I can't see it.
I'm being sarcastic. A rare watercolor celebrating Downers Grove's 175th anniversary with a number of the local landmarks here in town, some of which aren't even there anymore. So it is our pleasure to present you with this, and I'll be more than happy to take it up.
Why don't you? I'll drop it.
And I know everyone has some things they would like to say, so I'm going to allow you to
Sit down.
in a moment, but please join me in one more round of applause.
Thank you. But there's no room. Sorry.
I think we'll start this time with Commissioner Barnett.
Marilyn, thank you. You're going to hear that a lot, and I think it's the simplest of words, but it's meant by everybody in this room. It's meant by everybody in this community. Thank you. You've given yourself and your time to your community, and there's no higher compliment that can be paid. That sincere, honest thank you. I remember the first, I was thinking back to the first time that you and I met, and it proved to be, as I learned more about Marilyn and got to know Marilyn, absolutely stereotypical Marilyn. It was in my living room, or in my dining room rather, sitting at my table, talking about her village that she cared so much about. At the time I was a relatively new resident. And that scene played out hundreds, thousands of times over the last 3 decades. And it's that sincere, genuine interest in your fellow residents that just shines as an example to everybody that's an elected official everywhere. Thank you so much for that. I also, as I got to know you as a colleague, the word mentor, the mayor used that earlier, and the one thing that sticks with me is the example you set and the advice you gave on the proper balance between elected life, political leadership, and your family. And that's just awesome. That's been invaluable to me, and I think probably many, many of the colleagues you've worked with over the years. So going forward, I can't probably say enough thank yous, but I wish you good health. I wish you lots of grandchild time.
Me too.
The safest of travels, the clearest of photographs, and the best of luck. Thank you.
Commissioner Durkin.
Marilyn, it's been a pleasure serving with you. I remember the first day that I met you, and it was actually with the mayors and managers in the annual Springfield Drive Down, and they used to do one big one a year. And I was a young guy serving the people of Darien and as an alderman out there, and I remember just speaking with you, and at the time the council makeup that was down in Springfield and the issues, and just be able to continue those conversations even through the years as I came up here with you through sitting next to you regarding DuPage mayors and managers and the challenges that we see out there and all that is going on with our state as a whole. But the one thing about you that has always been true is the dedication, the ability you have to listen to everyone, even on both sides of the aisle. And you did that with such professionalism and with such passion. And I'm going to miss the communications we've had about my kids and your grandkids, and seeing the new pictures of your little ones, and all the history that you would always share with us when it came to budget meetings or whatever topic that came about. I wish you and Phil the best, safe travels. I know that you'll be starting a new chapter of your life with your business, and look forward to many more of those photographs that you're going to be publishing out there, and wish you the very best. Thank you.
Commissioner Newstead.
Thank you, Mayor. Forgive me because I'm going to read this for something you'll hear in a minute. I am honored to serve with both you and Bill. Many words come to mind when I think of you, Marilyn. Knowledgeable, preparation, compassion, wisdom, funny, strong, sensible, leader. You've always carried yourself in a professional manner, and many times you put the village first. This is why I'm not going to look down there. Oftentimes, I would look down the table at you and without words could tell from your look when to stop talking, when to talk more, or when to not talk at all. And that has helped me immensely. Being a council member is very demanding, and you have given 110% for so many years. You deserve a huge amount of gratitude from not only this council, but our entire community. Your voyage in Downers Grove is not over by any means, because I will still call you for advice and guidance. But for now, thank you for your service to Downers Grove and allowing me to watch and learn from you. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for making Downers Grove a place where I never wanted to leave, and for keeping it a place where I want to raise my family.
Don't do that, 'cause I'm going to stop.
That's why I didn't want to look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well said. Commissioner Rankin.
I wanted to thank you, Marilyn. I remember when I first got elected and before I was sworn in, you and I had lunch, and one of the things that you said was that you wanted to leave the village a better place than you got it, and I think you have. I think you've accomplished that goal. So thanks for your many years of service. And, you know, when we had discussions about things, even when we disagreed as a council, you always were very thoughtful and respectful with your comments, and your comments were always balanced and measured. So thanks for your service. We're going to miss you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you again, Mayor. Marilyn, it has been a pleasure serving with you. I can't top what everybody said about your service. It's eloquent, and it really doesn't match even to the extent of the service that and time and effort that you put in. I just learned something from Commissioner Newstead. Maybe it was my eye vision that I don't have peripheral, because I wasn't looking down either way. So maybe I kept talking when I should have shut up. But anyway. We met when you interviewed me for the transportation position, and kind of started me on that path. And then we were on the bus shuttle conversations, attended all those meetings, and so we've had a lot of interaction before I even got on council. I appreciate all of your time and effort on those on the various committees and things that we've done. outside of sitting up here. You've been a great sounding board, and I appreciate our phone conversations and our discussions, and I wish you the very best with your family. I know that always comes first. I know you talk about the photography business. I wish you luck with that, but I know that Phil and the family are going to be happy to have you back at home a little more often, but I somehow can't imagine that you're going to go off and, as I say, go back down to the farm and like our
It's a very nice farm.
But anyway, I wish you and your family and the very best in the future.
Thank you. I will only add a little bit to my comments earlier, because thank you doesn't begin to start on behalf of the community, on behalf of the village, and on behalf of myself. We truly, when I think of public service, we ought to, when you look up those words in a dictionary, I think your picture is there. You are truly the epitome of public service and have been a model for that within our community and beyond. Let's not forget that Marilyn is known far and wide for her service in this community and her involvement in many organizations, not only in conjunction with the village, but outside of it. And she's touched many of those organizations as well. So you have been a regional influence in that regard. Even coming down to a number of different National League of Cities, different meetings in different parts of the country, even representatives of other communities in far-flung states would recognize Marilyn as someone who is truly a leader when it comes to public service. I dare to say you are and will continue to be an icon of our community. You are passionate beyond equal. Well, Bill's passionate, but in a different way.
I don't have props.
Bill the showman. You've always been very deliberate, analytical, and above all patient, where others, myself included, may not have been so patient. And I think it's one of your strongest virtues. You have always not just tried but succeeded to be the voice of those who might not otherwise be heard. And I don't think that there is any town in the entire Western Hemisphere that has the same high bar when it comes to giving notice to residents of whatever it is that we might be doing, because I don't think there was one time when we weren't doing something and the question was asked, well, we're going to give notice and we're going to do this and we're going to put it there. Marilyn would always, without fail, say, but we can do better, because there's always someone that you have to take it to and not just put it out there for them to find. Good government, better government, best government is really bringing the issues to the people, and you've always been a very strong advocate of that. You taught me what it means to agreeably disagree, and you were always able to engage in a discussion, even with those you disagreed with, in a very graceful way, and you've always been very good at that. You've overseen and led many changes within our community, all for the better. You've shown resiliency in rolling with the good and the bad. I don't know how many managers and different staff people and council members. We could probably fill this room with the number of people that had the good fortune of working with you. You, like others, volunteer extensively outside of this organization, and so you're a good citizen beyond being a good, an exceptional council member. As some have already indicated, Marilyn has lots of talents, including being a gifted photographer, a darn good cook and baker, and fabulous entertainer. Yes, the cookies have been enjoyed by many different members of the council. I also want to thank Bill, and Andrew is here tonight as well. I want to thank you for sharing Marilyn with us. It's as though you grew up at the village and the village grew up with you. We feel like we've known you forever. So thank you very much, and thank you for sharing us with her. Thank you for lending Marilyn to us. We're all the better off for it. I can remember your family members walking, hanging things on doors during the campaign season.
Hannah's here.
Oh, I'm sorry. How are you?
There's Hannah.
Hannah's here too. Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't see you. Thank you for being here. So let me just end with this, because then I do want to give others an opportunity to weigh in. I want to quote from Margaret Chase Smith. American senator from 1897 to 1995, lived during that period of time, excuse me. Margaret Chase Smith said, "My creed is that public service must be more than doing a job efficiently and honestly. It must be a complete dedication to the people and to the nation with full recognition that every human being is entitled to courtesy and consideration. That constructive criticism is not only to be expected but sought, that smears are not only to be expected but fought, and that honor is to be earned and not bought." Marilyn, you have earned the highest honor in your service, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, only people who have reached the 25-year mark get the next little treat. And we have a video presentation from some folks that want to say thank you for your service. And we're going to have that Dougatized here in just a moment. And then as a reminder, as soon as we conclude with these remarks, we will take a 5-minute break, change the seats, and we will set up for the swearing in of our new council members. And we'll be doing that very shortly. It's a brief video. And then obviously we want to open it up for those who are here to express their best wishes and appreciation to Marilyn. I didn't give Doug much of a cue. That was my mistake.
The Village of Downers Grove is truly a better place because of the dedicated service and leadership of Marilyn Schnell. She's a true professional. She always comes prepared for meetings, asking thoughtful questions and providing insightful commentary.
I'm sure as you look back on your accomplishments, your tenure, you're probably thinking about all the people you worked with, including staff, colleagues, including mayors, I hope.
You introduced me to Mary Ellen Young. I'll never forget that breakfast where the three of us sat and talked, and I learned all about HGNA, and we did move that breakfast to that event, that successful event, over to that group, and it's been so successful ever since.
On behalf of HGNA, I wanted to thank you for your 25 years of service to our community and your dedication to HGNA. We appreciate you serving as an advisory board member and are forever grateful for your help in securing HGNA as the sponsor and the benefactor of the annual Community Pancake Breakfast. The money that we raise at the breakfast each year enables us to provide programs that support and educate the girls and the parents in our community.
With HGNA, we have been able to grow that event, make more and more money every year for the benefit of our girls in the community, to help them build their self-esteem, build more and more programming to help empower them to reach their fullest potential.
I didn't come to say goodbye. I've been thinking about all of the packets you've had to read for the council meetings since 1988, and all of the work you've put in there and before that.
Congratulations on a stellar career, a career that's probably unprecedented in Downers Grove history and likely not to be surpassed going forward. I hope you're taking stock of all your accomplishments, all that you've done to our community, for our community, and looking back with a sense of pride, accomplishment, and satisfaction.
Because of your commitment and your compassion, you have made raising a family, living in Downers Grove, and owning a business in Downers Grove make it feel like every day is a Sunday.
Marilyn has been instrumental in shaping our village into an award-winning community. I personally enjoyed working with Marilyn, and I respected and appreciated the fact that she always made her decisions in the best interest of the village at large.
I just think it's wonderful that you've given us all of that time. And I know you're going to find another project sometime soon. You're that kind of person.
Her history and knowledge of the things that have happened in our town will surely be missed.
You have impacted several hundred girls, if not a few thousand girls, which is just such a legacy, and we all appreciate your vision. And on behalf of all those girls and myself, Marilyn, we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Marilyn, for your years of service. You'll surely be missed.
Thank you, Marilyn, for 25 years of distinguished service, and congratulations on the success of that service.
Diane and I would like to thank you for your continued commitment to Downers Grove. Your compassion is overwhelming.
Many heartfelt thanks for the work you've given us and the enthusiasm you've given us, and I'm looking forward to seeing what your next project is.
I think now it's time for you and Phil to really travel the planet. I know you've done a lot of that recently, but now you can do it without worrying about Tuesday night meetings anymore and all the other community obligations that you've given yourself to and for. Thanks for all that you do, and God bless going forward.
I hope you enjoy your travels with your husband, and we look forward to still seeing you around the community. So thank you so much, Marilyn.
We thank you again, and we wish you all the best in whatever the future will hold. Thank you.
I'm wishing you the very best for the coming years. You and Phil can enjoy the place down in the Sedona Valley and enjoy your place here in Downers Grove. And I'm sure, being who you are, committed to public service, you're going to find an actual assignment that'll be just as rewarding as being commissioner for Downers Grove. I wish you and Phil the very best for the coming years, and I know you're going to have a great time.
Marilyn, 23 years ago, Tony and I moved into this town, and it was 2 years before then, on the day as you first sat down. Your dedication to Downers is an unselfish act of service, but with you at the helm, residents didn't have to be nervous. I worked with you on issues such as how to invest the hotel tax, and when it came to safety and sidewalks, you always had our backs. You've always supported youth in myriad of ways, from PTA to pancakes, a lot of money you did raise. But so many people know you only as a trustee, and because you're a private person, there's a lot they don't see. From track meets to swim meets, you were a devoted mother, and now in this next phase, your granddaughters you do smother. Your 40-some years as a dedicated wife to your dear Phil means you love and support him, and he knows you always will. Your house is amazing, always organized and clean. Your garden is blooming, your lawn fresh cut and green. You love to bake cookies and share them with all, and when someone is sad or troubled, they can be sure of a call. As a close friend, you are one of the best, and for that I can say, I truly have been blessed. So although schnell in German means speed or to go fast, relax and put your feet up. You deserve this at last. Congrats.
Of course, we want to thank the Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the best chamber in the area, for making that video possible.
That's awesome.
And now I would like to invite, before we hear from Marilyn, I would like to invite any members of the audience here who would like to share some comments with Marilyn to, once again, please come to the podium. Protocol dictates that we ask for your name and address. Good evening.
Stan Urban, resident, 131 39th Street. I thought today would be a normal, quiet morning, but it started out with phone calls and emails asking me if I would be attending tonight's meeting. And I said yes, I would, because I wanted to say thank you to a woman that I met 25 years ago and helped my community, my neighborhood, Longmeadow, by putting up a stop sign at 39th and Cumnor. Well, then the emails started coming in. And if I can indulge, May 7th, Honorable Marilyn Schnell, Village Commissioner, regarding public service and a rich legacy to Downers Grove. Dear Marilyn, Diane and I won't be able to be here with you tonight in person, but you are with us in our hearts. Your service to Downers Grove has been marked by excellence, perspective views, and compassion, with a keen eye on what is important. This is a special gift that so few elected officials possess. It is not something that is taught in class. It is earned through a mix of commitment, knowledge, and passion for the village. I especially appreciated your work as an elected official during my service as the village manager of Downers Grove. You taught me well, and I thank you. I have seen and worked with countless elected officials during my time of active public service and now as a volunteer. You are among the very best. Congratulations for a job well done. Downers Grove is a richer and better because of the time and talent you dedicated to her. Very truly yours, Kurt Bresner. Then Springfield woke up. After speaking with Senator Kirk Dillard, Representative Ron Sandak, they apologize on behalf of themselves, Representative Patty Belloc, and Representative Durkin, no relation, that they would not be able to attend tonight because of what was going on in Springfield. They did want you to know that they have prepared and will be presenting you when they get back into town with a proclamation declaring May 7th as Marilyn Schnell Day in the state of Illinois.
Very cool.
One of the emails, of many, said, Marilyn, congrats on an unprecedented service career in Downers Grove. In fact, it's a standard that won't be duplicated in length or merit. I wonder why they said that. Something about 2-term limits or something? Thank you for all that you gave and have done for our village. Please know it is appreciated by many. Sincerely, Senator Kirk Dillard, Representative Patty Belloc, Representative Sandak, and Representative Durkin. And then lastly, a little farther to the east, I got a personal phone call from a colleague of yours and mine, Marilyn. Sue woke up and said, oh, I can't make it in. My mom's not feeling well today. She wanted to say thank you for mentoring her, us, all of us, when we had the opportunity of sitting with you. This council is losing a very important part of this community. It is losing the history of this community. But with the newly elected officials, Mr. Olson and Mr. Jose, Marilyn knows the history, but I'm counting and will be watching, and I'm sure Marilyn will also, to make sure these gentlemen make history for this community. That's what's important, is the legacy of Downers Grove. Last note, Diane and I, if you remember, Marilyn, a few years ago, Mr. Durkin beat me in the election. And I thought I lost. And Diane, when I got home, said, no, you didn't lose. I gained a husband again. And fortunately, Phil's got his wife back. Hannah's got his grandmother back, or her grandmother back, excuse me. And because of that, Diane and I, if I may approach the dais, would like to present you with a coupon.
I get an ice cream cone.
For life ice cream for you and your grandchildren.
Hannah's excited.
Look at her, she's standing.
I know.
Mayor, if I may indulge, I'd like to make a comment of a general nature. I think it's important that the residents do come forward with their concerns about the flood situation, but I think it's also important to inform them that there are flooding situations that have clean water and dirty water. And your staff, led by Mr. Fieldman, takes care of the clean water. But the dirty water is taken care of by the sanitary district. And they need to make the same comments to the sanitary district of Downers Grove that were made here tonight, if they had dirty water in their basements. And with that, I bid you all a fond adieu.
Thank you, Stan.
Thanks, Steve.
Good evening.
Good evening again,
Hello again.
Commissioners. How are you? Linda Kunze, Executive Director for Downers Grove Downtown Management Corporation. On behalf of the business owners and the property owners in the downtown Maryland, we just want to extend a very large thank you and recognize that you have given your heart and soul to this village, and everyone is aware of that. And you've always supported the downtown from, I think, the very first survey that Coral Carlson sent out asking the community, what do you want to see in the downtown, to the Lakota plant or infrastructure, and supporting our organization for the last 13 years. So sincerely a thank you, and we have a little remembrance. We'll never forget the downtown that I'd like to present to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Hello again.
Hello again. Notice this plaque is not going up. Marilyn, it is truly with heartfelt gratitude that I recognize you tonight. For many, many years, 25 years to be exact, this village has depended on your passion for sound and responsible fiscal policies, servant leadership, truly servant leadership, and consensus management. Your personal approach has so positively impacted this town. You will be so sorely missed. And on behalf of all the members of the Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, please accept this plaque in true appreciation. Thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other words to share with departing Commissioner Schnell. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ken Matthew. Marilyn and I had the pleasure of being at your very first meeting where you served the village of Downers Grove 32 years ago. I'm sure we heard a plan commission petition for a lot split or a subdivision. In the meantime, you've listened to millions of words, have had to read hundreds of thousands of pages of staff reports and minutes. You've made tens of thousands of decisions and had to attend thousands of meetings. Although Downers Grove was an excellent town when you first came here, it is a far better town because of the time you spent here. Thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, Ken.
I know some other folks want to share some words with Marilyn, although again, there will be a reception after tonight's proceedings, and you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts and appreciation of Marilyn personally, but please.
Chris Frigo, 1918 Elmore Avenue. I moved here in 1990 and had a child in 1991 and became an advocate in the community for something I believed in. And thanks to my neighbor Mary Ellen, who had said she knew someone who was on the village council, perhaps I should approach her, and it was Marilyn Schnell. Marilyn introduced me to the process, and with her usual balance and never being judgmental and openness, said, here's what you do. You have to talk to Public Works, you have to speak with the village manager. We have village council meetings every Tuesday night. Come and address your concerns. I'm a Chicago girl, so going down to the city of Chicago and speaking to aldermen was so foreign to me. Through four mayors, through Mayor Cheever, through Mayor Krajewski, through Mayor Sandak, now Mayor Tully, more than half a dozen Public Works directors and more than 5 village managers. I think Marilyn has always been the first to go out into the community and listen to residents. So from a grateful resident, someone who respects you and your always willingness to listen, whether you agree or not, you have always shared a perspective that is open, non-judgmental, and willing to be considerate of everybody who knows you. So from many people, thank you, God bless you, and enjoy this time with your family.
Thanks, Chris.
Welcome back, Dr. Goodman.
Good evening again, Mayor Tully and Commissioners. Marilyn, I'd like to join in this wonderful praise of your accomplishments in the village. I remember working with you first on the Plan Commission and Mayor Cheever's campaigns and many of these issues over the years, and you were always very dependable in trying to understand the best interests of the community. One of the people that I could always depend on for support in trying to make sure that we preserved our landscaping, trees, circulation within the community through pedestrian sidewalks and other rights-of-way, things that sometimes got lost in the shuffle. They're not really of great economic importance, perhaps, but they do establish and preserve the character of the community. And so I always look to you when I tried to help people understand how important our character of the community was. You were always a strong spokesman for that, and I hope you will continue to do that for our community in your retirement from the council. Thank you very much for your service.
Thanks, Glenn.
Well, thank you very much for all those heartfelt comments. Again, everyone will have an opportunity to share them with Marilyn and Bill directly. At this point in time, I would like to, the last item we're going to have is to yield the floor to Marilyn Schnell to make her comments. And again, I want to thank everyone for their patience, but obviously we've had two members that collectively have served over 30 years. So I appreciate everyone giving them the opportunity to say what they wish and to hear from others. So for everyone else, thank you for your patience. We'll be soon going to the second part of the meeting. Marilyn, the floor is yours.
I timed this. It is not 5 minutes, so that you aren't going to have to cut me off.
Wouldn't dream of it.
Yes, you would. No, I'm only kidding. 25 years ago, I took my first oath of office as a commissioner. After the swearing in, Mayor Cheever took a few moments to talk to our 5-year-old son, Andrew, who is now here and is a little bit bigger than he was then. She told him that his mom would be spending a lot of time on village business, that she might not have as much free time as before. A little concerned, he took my hand, and I gave him a reassuring squeeze. When the election returns came in last month, and it was clear that I would not be re-elected, I sent both our children, Carrie and Andrew, a simple email. It said, "You got your mom back." Being a commissioner has been one of the most rewarding jobs I have ever had. You get the opportunity to grow as an individual and work beside some of the most talented people in the field. You sharpen your listening skills by opening your mind and sometimes your heart to residents who have problems and concerns. You get frustrated and sometimes wonder why you are a commissioner, but then you help someone and it becomes crystal clear. The last 25 years has had its ups and downs like anything else in life, but I would not change the opportunity that you, the residents, have given me. I am honored and humbled by your outpouring of support. As I leave this evening, I would like to thank some people who have been instrumental in my tenure on council. First and foremost, to the residents who voted me into office 6 times. Thank you. Your trust in me was never taken for granted. I always worked diligently for what I felt was best for the community as a whole. I love this town and spent countless hours trying to make it better than when I first took office. I will never forget meeting you at the Jewel, the farmer's market, or around town, talking about your concerns, or just getting a job well done, Marilyn. Thanks also for all the phone calls, emails, cards, and notes. I take with me memories that will last a lifetime. To Mayor Cheever, who taught me that public service is about the community and serving its residents, not about petty politics. To the many mayors and commissioners I served with, thank you for your dedication. We may not always have agreed with each other, but we were able to civilly discuss issues, make decisions, and move on. To the present council, you have many challenges ahead, but I know you have the courage, commitment, and fortitude to see them through. I wish you the best. The professional staffs I have worked with over the past 25 years are second to none. Led by some of the best and most talented village managers in the country, our town has been blessed to have individuals who put community first and look for innovative ways to work within the parameters as set by the council. Our town is a national leader in innovation at every level, from the manager's team to frontline employees. This town works so well because our employees truly care. Running for office has given me the opportunity to form lifetime friendships with individuals who believed in me and my devotion to the community. Running campaigns, putting in signs, passing out literature at train stations help form bonds between people. Thanks to all of you for your time and enthusiasm on my behalf. It has meant the world to me. 3 women have been integral to most of my campaigns. Special thanks go to Mary Ellen Young, Janice Farrington, and Jocelyn Kierkegaard. Last but not least, to my family. To my children, Carrie and Andrew, their spouses, Chuck and Lacey, their children, Evelyn and Hannah, thank you for being there for me. I know that it was hard for you to have a mom that was always in the public eye, but you handled it well. You learned life skills, such as how to put up campaign signs, stuff envelopes, and address mailers. And occasionally, you got to go to a ribbon cutting. Even 8-month-old Hannah, who is over there, had the opportunity to learn some life skills about sign placement during this last campaign. Seriously, what we learned as a family was that giving back to the community you live in is a civic duty that was never taken lightly in our household. You learned a life lesson which made you better individuals, spouses, and parents. I am proud of the adults you have become. To my husband, Philip, thank you does not seem enough. You believed in my ability to lead when I had my doubts. You had faith in a girl from Queens and never faulted in your commitment to her. You believed she was capable of making a difference in people's lives, and because you had faith in her, she did. You have been my rock, my sounding board, my friend for over 46 years. As you said on election night, we now have more time for each other. As we move on to the next chapter in our lives, we know we will be there together. Thank you for your love and support and the occasional glass of wine after a council meeting. It has enabled me to do this job to the best of my ability for 25 years. Good night, and God bless Downers Grove. Long time. Want to come sit, Grandma? Come on. What are all these people?
Special dispensation.
She's got to get used to it. Maybe someday she'll run for office.
Future commissioner. You know, we just keep getting, the councils keep getting younger and younger.
Well, I was told that it was 2 oldest replacing, or the 2 youngest replacing the 2 oldest, so now we have the youngest for sure.
Thank you very much. We have one final act for Bill and Marilyn, and that's to vote on the pending motion. We have a pending motion to adjourn sine die, which will allow us to take our 5-minute break. And again, thank you everyone for their patience, and we will come back then and seat the new council and have them, well, they'll be sworn in first and then they'll be seated. So at this point, Bill and Marilyn, I will ask April Holden to call the roll.
Commissioner Schnell?
Yeah, aye. Sorry. we have a crier coming.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin? Aye. Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Thank you very much. The motion passes. We are adjourned for about 5 minutes, and then please, again, thank you for your patience, rejoin us, and we'll be welcoming our newest members of the council. Good evening and welcome back, everyone. And once again, I want to thank all the friends and family of Greg, Jose, and David Olson for their patience. But obviously, it was a milestone in Downers Grove history that we all just experienced. But now, an equally important part, which is our second part of our meeting, which is now we will witness the swearing in of our 2 newest members of the Village Council, and we will seat the new council, have our first roll call, and then move on to what will be a very, I promise you, short meeting. We are particularly privileged to have with us tonight in performing the swearing-in ceremony Judge Thomas M. Durkin, who is a judge in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. Judge Durkin received his undergraduate degree from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, a fine institution, isn't that right, Mr. Olson? In 1975, and another fine institution, a law degree from DePaul University College of Law, outstanding institution in 1978. Served as a law clerk in the federal bench and then was an assistant state U.S. attorney from 1980 to 1993. and then was in private practice with the law firm of Mayer Brown. Judge Durkin was nominated by President Obama to the federal bench on May 21st, 2012, and was confirmed by the United States Senate on December 17th, 2012, and was a welcome addition and an exceptional addition to an already nationally acclaimed judiciary in the Northern District of Illinois. But the most critical and most important point about Judge Durkin is that he is, in fact, a Downers Grove resident. And so we are thrilled to have Judge Durkin here tonight administering the oath. Judge Durkin, please. And thank you again for being here. And I believe we are beginning with the swearing in of Returning Commissioner Barnett.
We are. And thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure. My wife and I have been residents here for over 30 years, and we've raised 4 children here. And it's a wonderful town, a great community, and it's great to honor the service of the retiring commissioners and the new commissioners and the present commissioners. So thank you. So, sir, if you'd see, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Robert T. Barnett,
I, Robert T. Barnett,
having been elected to the office of Commissioner in the Village of Downers Grove,
having been elected to the office of Commissioner in the Village of Downers Grove,
in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
All right, next we have, I believe, Commissioner David Olson.
Okay, sir, please raise your right hand. I, David S. Olson,
I, David S. Olson,
having been elected to the office of Commissioner
having been elected to the office of Commissioner
in the Village of Downers Grove in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
in the Village of Downers Grove in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
And last but not least, Commissioner Greg Jose.
Please raise your right hand. I, Gregory Jose,
I, Gregory Jose,
having been elected to the office of Commissioner
having been elected to the office of Commissioner
in the Village of Downers Grove in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
in the Village of Downers Grove in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner.
and that I will faithfully I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Judge Durkin. We greatly appreciate you being here and performing the ceremony. It was a privilege. Thank you for visiting us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, now it's back to business. And the only comment I want to make before we do that is for friends and family of both Greg and David who might think, my goodness, it's 9:10 and we're just getting started in the meeting. Sorry, but get used to it. Wait till we have another land use issue before us. 9 o'clock will be the first break. Just kidding. All right, then seriously, back to business. We are now on item, we just did item 9 on our agenda. We are now at item 10, which is the first roll call of the new council for 2013-2015. Village Clerk April Holden, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Olson?
Here.
Commissioner Rankin?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Here.
Commissioner Durkin?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Here. Thank you. We are all here. That brings us to item 11, which is our first reading. We have no first reading items tonight, thankfully. And we'll move right to item 12, which is the mayor's report. And I do have one item to take care of under the mayor's report. This is very important because we need to take care of some office positions and liaison positions. So I believe that, April, you'll be reading that resolution?
Yes.
And then we will have a motion and a second, just in case that you two have forgotten how this works. Please.
A resolution appointing members to village boards. Whereas Mayor Tully has made the following appointments to village boards and commissions, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Downers Grove does hereby confirm the following appointments. Mayor Pro Tem, appoint Commissioner Neustadt as Mayor Pro Tem. Deputy Liquor Commissioner, appoint Commissioner Neustadt as Deputy Local Liquor Commissioner. Public Safety Committee, appoint Commissioner Rankin to the Public Safety Committee as Chair. Appoint Commissioner Neustadt to the Public Safety Committee. Finance and Administrative Committee, appoint Commissioner Durkin to the Finance and Administrative Committee as Chair. Appoint Commissioner Olson to the Finance and Administrative Committee. Public Services Committee, appoint Commissioner Barnett to the Public Services Committee as Chair. Appoint Commissioner Jose to the Public Services Committee. Economic Development Corporation, appoint Commissioner Durkin as ex officio council representative to the Economic Development Corporation. Downtown Management Corporation, appoint Commissioner Barnett as ex officio council representative to the Downtown Management Corporation.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve those appointments?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the council? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye, the resolution passes unanimously. That ends the mayor's report, brings us to item 13, which is the manager's report from Village Manager David Fieldman.
No report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Brings us to item 14, which is our village attorney's report from our village attorney, Enzo Petrarca.
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to item 15, council member reports and new business. We'll first ask if there are any items of new business from any members of the council. I see David and Greg just bursting with new business. Hearing none, then we'll go to council member reports. We'll start with Commissioner Rankin.
No report, Mayor.
Commissioner Durkin.
I just want to welcome my new colleagues up to the dais. I look forward to working with you. As you've heard from the audience and from us, there's big shoes you have to fill, and I have every faith in the world that both of you will do it, including Commissioner Barnett on his return. We all, that you will find, have an open door policy, so if there's ever anything you'd like to share or talk about, just remember you can only talk to one of us at a time. You don't want to violate any rules, but definitely we look forward to working with all of you, and welcome aboard.
Well said. Commissioner Neustadt.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, welcome to our new colleagues, and welcome back to Commissioner Barnett. Everything you heard tonight about how Commissioner Waldeck and Commissioner Schnell conducted themselves both up here on Tuesday nights and in the community, you can learn from that. They were both very professional and carried themselves very well. Welcome, and as Commissioner Durkin said, please keep those lines of communication open. They're very important. And one other report, Mayor and Council, our very own Baked Apple Restaurant made a TV show over the weekend. It was Chicago's Best. I believe it airs on WGN, and they were highlighted for their, I believe it was called the X Sandwich. It sounded like a delicious sandwich I'm going to have to go try, but it was a great expose on their new store right there on Ogden Avenue. The Baked Apple has been open for a few months now and has proven to be a great addition to the Ogden Avenue area, and we wish them the best of luck. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple of words prepared tonight if you'll indulge me. First, let me say thank you to my colleagues who I've had the privilege to work with over the last 4 years, to our village staff team who does the heavy lifting on a day in and day out basis, to my family who appreciates the strong desire I have to serve our community, and to those who have placed their trust in me to serve as their elected representative. I believe we're called to identify those skills, attributes, and talents that we may have, each of us individually, and then seek out ways to use those skills in service of others. There are many ways to contribute to the collective whole. Serving an elected office is surely one of those many ways. Public service is and rightly ought to be an effort in giving back to the community in which one lives. An old proverb says, man has responsibility, not power. No truer statement can be said of elected officials. We are charged with exercising stewardship over the treasures that make our community, and such stewardship is that ultimate responsibility. A responsibility to take a long view, a responsibility to make decisions that might feel painful in the short term, and a responsibility ultimately to leave things better than when we found them. The last 4 years have had some ups and downs, to be sure. We've had everything from economic meltdowns to crime sprees, from blizzards and heat waves to tornadoes and power outages. But as a community, we've taken on challenges and found in those challenges opportunities. Opportunities to improve what we do and how we do it, and opportunities to take Downers Grove and make it a better place. We've embraced change and we've embraced our fellow residents, and as a community, we've come out ahead. While the road before us remains filled with uncertainty, I have great confidence that this council will rise to the task and leave a stronger, better community in its wake. It's a privilege to be part of this group, and I'm looking forward to once again being part of the team that leads our village. It's been said that first responsibility of a leader is to define reality, the last is to say thank you, and in between the leader is a servant. It will be credited as a success to this council as leaders of this community if we can follow such a model over the next 4 years. Thank you again to my wife, my family, and my fellow residents who have put their trust in me. Good evening.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Olson.
Thank you, Mayor Tully. Just had a couple of remarks. First, I wanted to thank and echo the words that were said earlier at the previous meeting. Thanks to Bill and Marilyn for their many years of service to the village. It's been an honor for me over the past year, and a little bit longer than that, to get to know them and to see them and learn from them as a public servant, as a person. I'm really looking forward to their continued contributions to the village in the years to come. I want to thank all the residents who came out tonight to share their issues, concerns, suggestions, and I want to invite you to come back next week and in many weeks ahead as you have more concerns, questions, issues, suggestions for us. It's crucial that we have your input so that we're addressing the needs of this community, and I really appreciate all the time that you put in to come out and to give us your feedback, whether it's here on Tuesday night or through email, phone calls, and all the other ways. And I'm looking forward to receiving your many phone calls and emails, letters in the years to come. It's truly an honor for me to be seated here with these fine people as we seek to represent the diversity of Downers Grove, people from throughout the community, from south of 75th Street to north of Butterfield Road and west to east. I'm really looking forward to collaborating with my colleagues in the council to effectively represent the residents of this wonderful community so we continue to make Downers Grove a destination for residents, businesses, workers, and visitors. As a new, young member of this council, I think Stan put it as that I don't necessarily have the history, but I should aim to make history, and I like that. I think that's what I aim to do. I aim to serve the people of Downers Grove for the next 4 years. I want to learn from my colleagues. I want to learn from people who've served up here in the past. I want to learn from the residents and the business owners and stakeholders in this community. And I aim to bring all that knowledge and my perspective to benefiting the people of Downers Grove and to working collaboratively with this group of people to achieve great things for Downers Grove. I look forward to being part of many contributions this council will make in improving our community and being even more responsive to the people that we serve. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you to the residents. And look forward to a fantastic 2 years on this council and then 4 years to come.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jose.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just too like to thank the residents of Downers Grove for the trust they've placed in me, and I'd most especially like to thank my wife, who's here tonight, for giving me up on several nights over the next 4 years. It's been an interesting ride from the Environmental Concerns Commission to the Plan Commission and now up here, and I couldn't have a better partner in it. I'd like to echo some of the thoughts from Commissioner Barnett and also from Commissioner Schnell talking about the challenges that we face as a council and a village over the next 4 years, and that they really are opportunities. We have myriad opportunities in front of us, and I look forward to meeting them and tackling them head on, doing so in a responsive and fiscally responsible way, tackling them with all the great folks we have up here, working collaboratively with them and with village staff. And thank you once again to everyone here and to everyone watching at home. I look forward to working with all of you over the next 4 years. And let's continue to make Downers Grove a great place to be. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to go back to Commissioner Durkin, who had an important announcement to make.
Yeah, I apologize. Thank you for this opportunity. We have great news. As many of you know, the 75th and Lamont area, we've had a vacant large storefront next to the Walgreens, and Commissioner Waldeck will be happy to hear that the new grocery store is finally opening. It's finally going to come to reality. And there's a grand opening and ribbon cutting taking place this Friday, May 10th at 10 a.m. The mayor, I, along with village manager Fieldman and Michael Cassa from the Economic Development Corporation, had the opportunity to tour and meet with the ownership of this store at their Chicago facility. And I can tell you this is a top-notch, locally owned grocery store. It's going to be a great addition, and it's going to bring new opportunities and new shoppers to our area. So we welcome them with open arms. And that'll be the new Shop and Save. I guess I should have said that first. You know, I'm not a marketing guy. I was looking at the numbers. But Shop and Save, 75th Lamont Road, Friday, May 10th, 10 a.m. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. A couple things. First of all, I want to congratulate Bob and David and Greg. Welcome. Welcome back to Commissioner Barnett. You have, and I assume will continue to be, an engine of ideas on this council, and we look forward to your next ones. I want to thank your family for allowing us to borrow you for another 4 years. So thank you very much to them as well. To Commissioner Olson, Commissioner Jose, welcome. We're very excited and looking forward to working with you. We've already had the opportunity to have some great conversations with you about some of your ideas. I think it's going to raise the level beyond even some of the extraordinary things we've already accomplished. So we look forward to your new energy and ideas and perspectives. So looking very much forward to working with you. And I also want to thank both Greg and David's families for everything that they have and will put up with in order to have the two of you up here serving with us. But I do have one bone to pick with both of you that I just have to get off my chest, and that is, gosh darn it, thanks to the two of you, I am now the oldest member of this council. And I just don't like the sound of that very much. It was like 10 years ago I was sitting in your spot, Greg, but all right, time flies. One last thing I want to mention is we did start out today's meeting with proclaiming May of 2013 to be Exercise is Medicine Month. I want to remind our residents that this Saturday, May 11th, at Midwestern University, the Groovin' in the Grove 5K run walk will be taking place. And if you're in the back of the field, you might see me there. The race begins, the 5K race begins at 9 a.m. There are kids races that start at 10 and at 10 a.m. And again, that will be at the campus of Midwestern University here in Downers Grove, 555 31st Street. It's a great race. I try to run it every year, and the nice part about it is because it's on Mother's Day weekend, they will hand out flowers to all the moms who cross the finish line, which is pretty cool. So I just wanted to point that out. I have nothing further, so with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner